Are we live? Are we live? Let's check something real quick.
Basically, all you have to do is
Alrighty.
go to your school's
Yep, it
compliance.
is working. It is working perfectly fine. Man, this one's gonna be good. Maybe. Let's hope this works. Yep, just sitting here till about 7 o'clock when the actual thing is gonna start. Just sitting here in silence as we wait. Uh, We'll be starting things in approximately a couple of minutes. Really? Does talking make it? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Talking drops frames? You're kidding me. So if I talk loud, that drops frames. No, it doesn't. Okay. Great. Well, does it matter if nobody's here? No, we can do whatever. I've been doing it for nobody for years. We'll start at 7:02. So in 2 minutes. Okay. But yeah. Getting close to that time. Okay, then, well, it's 7:02, so it doesn't matter who's here and who's not. Well, the who's not is a population that includes everyone. So, let's get this going. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Goal to Go Live, episode 14. Yes, 14. There's been... God, that's a long time. Wow. So, yeah, we got some stuff to talk about tonight, and, boy, oh golly, if like nobody's talking and there's barely any interaction, things are gonna go down just downhill, because I'm gonna go into really stupid college baseball format stuff. So yeah, and in fact, I'm gonna save the college baseball stuff for last, mainly because it can be a rabbit hole. Do you want a rabbit hole? Oh, we can go into a rabbit hole. But yes, let's start today's episode first. With a little bit of congratulations that I want to give out to the Ole Miss women's golf team. They won the first NCAA title, or NAIA title, or AIAW title in the history of the school. I don't count FBS titles, so they claim 3 football natties, but I don't count those. I count FCS titles because, you get a big wooden trophy, and that tends to be a good one. So yeah. They were one of 101 schools that had never done it, and some schools have tied for it. For example, Gonzaga has a shared national championship with Idaho in boxing. Yes, boxing, a sport that does not have a championship anymore. But I count those because, it'd be rude not to, I think. So yeah, there are now exactly 100 members of Division I, and I'm including the teams that are in transition, because they've all won natties. So we really don't have to worry about that. Yeah. There are only 100 left, and Mississippi State is one of them. Pittsburgh is another, by the way. Pitt has never won a national title. And again, I'm not counting like weird, obscure sports. Like ULM has 27 water skiing titles. I kid you not, they're a water skiing powerhouse. But no. If that were an NCAA sport, then yes. And I included NAIA because like Troy has an NAIA football title. Other things, I think like Prairie View A&M has like a basketball title or something, a track title. Either way, doesn't matter. Big old-fashioned congratulations are abound. So, yeah. There. So now, let us begin with some NFL stuff, because that's the main focus of this. I thought it was supposed to be a football thing, and then I forgot. Summer exists, and it has college baseball and, like, zero football. So, yeah. There wasn't much in the realm of the Saints, but there was stuff. Starting with Adam Vinatieri retiring. Yeah, that's right. He was still technically active, despite not having played, like, the past 2 seasons. Good for you. I would say you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, but kickers don't get enough love. Here's an idea. Once every 4 years, induct a special teams player. Just once every 4 years, have an extra slot open for special teamers. That way, A, Steve Tasker gets in the Hall of Fame like he deserves. B, Devin Hester gets in the Hall of Fame like he deserves. C, we get... Who else would I put in there? I would put Shane Leckler, almost. Because he was, like, the best punter for a very long time. Yeah. Just to get Adam Vinatieri in there, start with, like, him. Actually, who am I kidding? Start with Steve Tasker, please. Start with Steve... No, do it next year. Because start with Steve Tasker, and then 4 years, Bada Bushki, his eligibility is in. He's now eligible. It'll have been 5 years. Boom, you can put in Adam Vinatieri. See? This is not hard. Just get him in there. Get Steve Tasker in the Hall of Fame where he deserves, because he was the best player at his position in the ever. Yeah. Anyway, that's a completely separate thing. Like, yeah, good for him. You finally retired. Seriously, what took you so long? I don't know. You know what time it is? It's 7:07 over here. Well, that's not what I meant. Sorry. It's LSU's playing Florida State right now in the Super Regionals. That's actually, like, I am pointing towards it because I am a walk from it. A very long walk that I do not want to make right now because I want a podcast. But yeah. Oh, hello. Sacrifice bunt, get the runner to second. Awesome. But OTAs, those are happening right now. I don't know what the OT and the A stand for. I've genuinely never actually looked this up before. Hi, are you ready to make me sound like an idiot? What does OTA even mean? Yeah, it means organized team activities. Okay, I was not aware of that. I am now aware of that. So yeah, they just began. And the NFLPA wants players to boycott it. It's why Aaron Rodgers wasn't at OTAs. It was why Russell Wilson wasn't at OTAs. It was why, actually, a lot of the receiving corps for the Packers wasn't at OTAs. It's why a lot of teams have been opting out of voluntary workouts, because the NFLPA wants them to boycott. They have reasons for it. Their reasons are decent. And I want to make a point here. I side with the players more than I'm going to side with owners because, I don't know. It makes more sense. Like, why wouldn't I side with the players? They're the ones doing the thing I'm watching them, right? So I care about them, right? So I want to see them looking their best. And their best is when they're fittest and when they're not, ill and, they're better. So here are the things. Some of this, by the way, I'm going to be talking about, there's a point in there where you're going to see a chart, because yes, apparently we've decided to have a chart part. Sorry about that, just looked at something. Yeah. So, let's look at some stuff, let's look at some numbers, and by the way, after the first thing, the next three things, first there are going to be two things, and then I'm going to go into three that I actually have some problems with. So, there's a 23% decrease in missed time injuries last year when compared to the 5-year average. I don't know what the 5-year average for this is. The rate was normal during the regular season, but it was much lower during training camp. There was no OTA last year to compare to. Now, I will say, during training camp includes the preseason and includes preseason games, things that didn't happen, and I don't know if they're including those. Based on the way they tend to be talking about other things, though, yeah, they're not including those, so we have a problem. There's also no significant increase in lower extremity strains. However, the total number of lower extremity injuries increased from 634 to 659. And note that 634 includes preseason games in 2019, 659 without. That's a problem. Now, hamstring and quad injuries were down. Hamstring and quad strains, were down. The increase came from calf and adductor strains. And they were still consistent with the 5-year average. But yeah, not exactly a good sign. Hello? Ooh, we got a runner on third. But 2 outs. Sorry, I just want us to win this so we can win a Natties. Excuse me for wanting us to win Natties. So yeah. Then there was also the third thing, was a 45% decrease in heat-related illnesses, which, gee, I wonder why that was. It's almost as if they weren't practicing outside in the stupid heat of frickin' Georgia, or Florida, or Louisiana, or Texas, or, come on! It's just, this is gonna be me halfway, this whole time, it's gonna be me pissed off about the fact that it's 0-0, we've gotten 1 hit. Great. 1 whole hit. Oh, amazing. And we've left 1 stranded, thankfully. Anyway, so, here's the thing. You got this 45% decrease in heat-related illnesses. That's really big. They wanted to keep going this training regimen. But there are 3 things. It just so happens that the NFL released the injury data for concussions, ACLs, and MCLs. They didn't mention MCLs. I looked at it anyway. I actually have the charts for you so we can look at them ourselves. So we're going to start with the concussion data. Now, there's a blog post, by the way, that they put out. And what they said was that there was a 30% decrease in concussions. Now, they noted that the preseason typically results in 46 concussions per year. So, if 2020 had 46 preseason concussions, the total would have been 218. That's still lower than 224 in 2019, and it's the second lowest behind 214 in 2018 based on this 5-year data set that you're looking at right now. The rate of concussions per training camp practice also decreased. It went from 1 in 17 practices in 2019 to 1 in 20 practices. But take a look at this data and tell me what you see. You're probably not going to. That's unfortunate. But because what you see is that 2020 had the most concussions during regular season practice out of all years. It's 13. Now, second most was 12 in 2017. The 5-year average is 8.8. The 5-year average is 8.8, which again is buoyed by that 12. But here's the thing. You take that, it had the second lowest number of in-game concussions. 129, second only to 2018's 127. So, okay, that's great and all. Yeah, 30, by the way, is middle of the pack for practice. There, yada, yada, and yada. Then, we'll take off that. And I want to talk about ACLs. Now, I'm not going to show it until we talk about what they said. They said, in that thing, ACL tears were within a 5-year average. There was an increase from last year. There was a spike in ACL tears in week 2, but that didn't impact the overall set because it's typical for a week to have a spike like that. It's typical that 1 week during the year there's going to be a spike in ACL tears. It was an increase in from 49 in 2019 to 51 in 2020, and those are the 2 lowest years since 2015. Here's the problem with that. This is the data we're actually looking at. So, we didn't just have 51 ACL tears. Of them, we had 36 during regular season games. That is 7 more than second. Far above average. Now, of course, second fewest in practices, but is that good? So I took a look at this. And I said, fine, what if we just add in the 5-year average? The 5-year average of preseason game ACL tears is 14.2, round that down to 14. You get 65. That's higher than any other year. So, and the ACL tear is that's a season-ending injury. And we're not talking about rate of it being lower. We're talking about it being higher. It's 51. That's second lowest. But look at the 36. That 36 in games is more than the regular season total in all but 1 year, and it ties 2016. It ties it. That's not good, if you couldn't tell. It's very, very, very bad. So when we thought, no, there were more ACL tears in the regular season than normal, we weren't wrong. It wasn't just it wasn't just bias. No, it's there. The data supports it. The numbers support it. These things don't have any sort of... This is, by the way, one of the most severe injuries a guy can get. At least from lower extremity. Yeah. So, let's not say we didn't see something bad here. Your data tells you... the data here also is showing that, no, there's a problem still. And we don't know what to blame that on, granted. I'm not going to blame it necessarily on that, because I think, personally, part of it has to do with the fact that field conditions weren't in the fields weren't in their normal state. Because, again, no preseason games to get them worn in. I know that seems rather weird, but I've said this multiple times. It's you get a bunch of guys running around on that field, and it'll eventually get worn in. It's why people were slip-sliding around, or at least, Reggie Bush couldn't get planted down and make quick cuts like he's used to in the 2006 Dome opener, because it was new turf. It takes a little bit of time. That's why they want to do those preseason games. That's why you want to do a walkthrough. That's why you want to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's why, if you look at the fact that that game was a week 2 game, the fact that it was a spike in week 2, that's where the problem comes in. Now, granted, you can probably blame the turf manager for, screwing that up partially, but, also just not worn in enough. So, yeah. But oh, we're still live? Good. Good. It just said welcome to the chat room again for some reason. Like, I think it may have DC'd. I hope it didn't. Anyway. Yeah. Let's look at the MCL tears. Because it's not mentioned in the report, but the MCL tears are still important. Now, it's the second lowest behind 109 in 2019. So there was an increase. Again, none of those happened in the preseason games. The 5-year average of preseason game MCL tears is 25. So you add that in, you get 136, and it's middle of the pack. It's middle of the pack. You're not really looking at much statistically significant stuff here. This year is actually pretty much middle of the road in general for MCL tears, because you look at, for example, you look at the ones during games in the regular season, and it's like, though they were heavily up from last year, and that's weird, really weird. Like, 76 is a huge outlier. Yeah, by 11. It's 11 fewer than the second most. And then, granted, there is another outlier, and it's 104, which is, it's only 6 more, but still. Yeah, it's just middle of the road for pretty much every single major category you got, so, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. There was another part of this whole thing. And it was called performance. And oh boy, does it give me enough stuff to talk about. So, they say performance. Points were up, penalties were down, and missed tackles were down. This was the highest scoring year in the history of the NFL, 12,692 points. And then points per game, 49.6 points per game. This was between the two teams, so in each game, not per team. That's the most since at least the merger. So yeah, that's great. So my issue. Penalties were down for there's a pretty decent reason why penalties were down. The NFL guided officials to call holding only when it was quote-unquote clear and obvious, that's a bit of a vague, nebulous term. But I decided to look into the penalty data just to see where it went. So let's start with holding calls. In 2019, there were 724 holding calls. In 2020, there were 462. That's a gigantic drop-off that was... I mean, you want to look at the 2018 penalty data just to double-check this? Okay, fine then. In 2018, offensive holding was called 708 times. Oh, but let's look at the previous season before that. 664 times. It was pretty consistently called around a very high level, and then just dropped off dramatically, and that doesn't happen without an outside factor. False starts, they were down 547 in 2019, 496 in 2020, partially to blame crowd noise. Yeah. Defensive pass interference, that was up this year, actually. 269 calls for DPI in 2019, 309 in 2020. Defensive holding, by the way, was also down. So holding on both sides was down. 245 calls last year. In 2020, there were 175. Other things were... Roughing the passer was actually down from 2019, if you can believe it, but only by 12, 134 in 2019, 122 in 2020. There was also a humongous drop-off in illegal block above the waist penalties, 159 calls in 2019, 92 in 2020. Illegal use of hands calls were also dramatically down from 98 in 2019 to 40 8 in 2020. I think part of that was another direct thing from the league office, basically telling officials, hey, could y'all not screw this up? It would be really nice if you just didn't screw this up. So yeah. Oh yeah, offensive pass interference was also down, 99 in 2019, 62 in 2020. Okay? So the penalties being down, we can't necessarily say that meant the product was better. No, I meant the officials were being told not to call stuff. Sometimes they missed obvious stuff, and other times they weren't being as ticky-tack. So that's good and all, but don't blame that on the conditioning. You cannot credit the conditioning for officiating. You can... That's such a poor idea. It's not correlative at all. Especially, it is most certainly not a causative relationship, by the way. And, by the way, higher scores do not mean better games. But they do mean longer games. And we don't want longer games. Like, the shortest game this year was the Saints-Broncos game, an affront to football. And that was because Sean Payton decided to take a run-heavy offense and add more run to it, because that game never should have been played. Yeah, you want to talk about... Hey, speaking of competitiveness and drama, the average margin of victory was the smallest since 2006, 11 points. Now, the next thing I'm going to read is as vague as possible, probably to promote a narrative. 69.9%, or 179 of 256 games, they were within 8 points in the fourth quarter. That's the second most in NFL history. It said within one possession, 8 points. And then there were 43 games in which a team came back from a 10-plus point deficit. That's tied for the most ever. So my first issue is that within one score in the fourth quarter. So are you adjusting for pre-2-point conversion? I hope you are, because if you're not, then that's gonna really skew your data. Also, that's a vague-ass statement. Like, could that mean that the game was an 8-point game with 14:55 to go in the fourth quarter and then it ended up being a blowout? Because that's what it can mean. There's genuinely nothing there to tell you what it's supposed to be saying. So stupid. Then, those 43 games with 10-plus point comebacks include when the Saints came back from down 14 halfway through the first quarter. And the only reason we were down 14 was because the Lions got the ball first, scored a touchdown, and then we freaking stupidly gave up a... breezed through a shitty pass. It was picked off. But that counts. But that wasn't a difficult comeback, and I thought we were going to come back and win that game. That's not really a comeback. Also, just nice slight to the Falcons and Chargers fans. Just nice slight to them. It's like, yep, y'all blew it. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to end this thing at 8:10 if nobody gets here, because I am not doing this by myself, because it is so boring. Anyway, yeah, parity. That was the last thing they mentioned. So 18 teams were in playoff contention in the final week of the season. That's the most since 2006. 5 new division winners, 7 new playoff teams. So let's start. No shit, there were more playoff contenders in the last week of the season. We had an artificially increased playoff. There were 7, not 6. You also have to remember that 3 of those 18 teams had a losing record. Did you forget about the NFC least? Did you forget about that? Okay. 1/6 of the entirety of the playoff chase was between a bunch of teams that frankly should never have been there in the first place. Oh, did I mention that division was partially the result of injury problems? Because if Saquon Barkley doesn't go out, at least the Giants don't have 10 losses, maybe 9. And if Dak Prescott isn't injured, the Cowboys win that division, and they probably go, at the very least, 8-8. At the very, very least. Their run defense was literally that bad. Probably 9-7, 10-6, honestly. Should also be noted that 2 more of those teams ended with an 8-8 record that were in the chase. Also, that Saints-Bears game was an affront to football, and the fact that they put that on a children's television network is akin to child abuse. Alrighty? Or, as I like to put it, because I am the worst human being ever, it's as close as a sporting event has come to child abuse without involving Adrian Peterson. Yeah, I wrote that, and you had to hear the fact that I did write that. I am a bad person for having written that, unless I'm not. Anyway, it was artificially more. Like, yes, you had the AFC, which had all those teams vying for a wildcard spot. All those teams vying for a wildcard spot. That's great and all. Still, that doesn't mean it's better. You artificially create more opportunities for it. 7 new playoff teams. Yeah. I mean, the Browns getting there was one thing, but like, the Steelers were a new playoff team. Yeah. Yeah. If I recall correctly. If I recall, which I do recall correctly, they did not make the playoffs the prior year. So, yeah. There's some douche canoe outside my window. They are honking their horn for no reason. So, yeah. Now, normally I'd do an LSU baseball recap right now. I want to talk about the fact that LSU softball won the Baton Rouge Regional. They're hosting Florida State right now. I went to some of the games, got nasty sunburns. Thank God these games are being played. It's 6 now. So, yeah. The reason why I want to get through the next thing is because I genuinely don't know how long I'm going to go on a tangent about college baseball, specifically tournament formats, because I can go on for an hour about that, because genuinely I didn't know how stupid it was until I started looking into it. And then it's like, oh, you need to die. I am looking specifically at you, Missouri Valley Conference. I will get to ripping you to shreds, but don't worry, you're not the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yeah. But you see, when it comes to college sports, there's a bill. First of all, before we get into this, there's a bill introduced today that would basically allow college athletes, that's what they're called, to form unions and would be treated as employees of their university. It's a very novel way of defining college sports, and I don't hate it, mainly because it's nice to see a new perspective on things. I'm open to trying this out. Why not? It's going to get shot down, I know that, but still, why not try it? Why not at least have I at least like the idea that we're going to think about this. I do need some time to think about it, probably have something tomorrow in the Goal to Go recorded podcast. But yeah, hold on, I just gotta prime something real quick. Can I hit play from there? Yes, I can. Hallelujah. Yeah. So, if you didn't see the title, I'm going to do the worst Tiny Tim impression a human being has ever done. Tamper through the portal. I'm not even going to do that anymore because, frankly, that's going to be an affront to your eardrums. Tampering through the portal. The transfer portal. So coaches are taking advantage of the transfer portal as if it's free agency. This is about a college football article that I read from ESPN, because ESPN does some really great reporting when they're, paying their reporters. Just gonna let that sit for a little bit. I get you guys are losing money. Please stop making shitty business decisions. It's just, I don't know. Disney, you really have no excuse. Hey, maybe the NHL rights will get you something. God, you guys are the worst. Hey, by the way, thanks for being dick... you know what? It wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. Because, actually, thank you for not being dickweeds. Real quick. They're putting LSU's game, their home opener against McNeese, on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus. I like you for that. Please do this forever with everything on SEC Network Plus, because genuinely I do not have SEC Network, and I would like to use my ESPN Plus subscription to watch college baseball that isn't Southland or Patriot League. I'd like to watch SEC baseball with my ESPN Plus subscription. I'm paying you $5 a month. Let me watch my LSU Tigers. Please and thank you. Have a nice day. So yeah. Back to the thing I was talking about. The transfer portal. But you may be asking yourself, what is the transfer portal? And how does it work? Well, I would tell you myself, but I don't need to, because I have someone else who can. They're not here live. They were here last week. I did an interview so context. I live next to a fire station and it's very loud sometimes. You probably can't hear it, but I most certainly can. It's annoying. Please shut up out there. Anyway, back from my hatred of everything. And we're down 1-0. Great. We're down 1-0. That's not going to help things. Anyway, so last week, let's get back to this. Last week, I interviewed a person. Who is that person? Why, it is my roommate and a person who happens to be, like, the fastest 400-meter runner in, like, the world. Yeah. His name is Noah Williams. He runs track here at LSU. And he was not originally at LSU, and he came via the transfer portal from Akron. So, yeah, here's a minute of someone that's been in the transfer portal, granted for track, not for anything else, explaining the transfer portal.
Basically, all you have to do is go to your school's compliance office and talk to the compliance guy. I talked to my coaches first to let them know that I was going to go into the portal. And so I had to go to the compliance office and basically you give them your email, you give them your phone number, you tell them that you want to go into the portal, and you'll get an email confirmation 24 to 48 hours afterwards saying that you have entered the portal. Now, I have never seen the portal. I don't know what the portal looks like, but all I know is your name gets entered into a database for every coach in the country to see. They see your performances, they see your year in school, they see your GPA, they see your major, they see everything. And that is just free reign for them to contact you. I was in the portal for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And in those 2 to 3 weeks, I talked to tons of schools on Zoom calls, and so that was basically how it worked. And then when I committed, then when you commit to your school, then you're then taken out of the transfer portal.
Once again, that was LSU track athlete Noah Williams talking about how the transfer portal works. Yeah. It's really not that complicated, actually. It's not this mystical realm. There has been, like, some people... I've seen a post on Twitter that shows what a transfer portal thing looks like. It's about as boring as it gets. It's like Web 2.0 level graphic design. Because that's all you need, really. Yeah. Basically just a place where people go, and, woo! It opened up, like, a couple years ago, by the way. It's very new. Yeah. This was actually catching my attention because TJ Finley, who was formerly at LSU, has now transferred to Auburn, of all places. And he wasn't going to win the starting job here, so he went to Auburn, where he's probably going to actually have a chance to win the starting job this year, because Bo Nix is... Well, he's Bo Nix. I really don't need to put this into words other than I seriously don't understand what people were thinking. How does Derek Stingley not win the Freshman of the Year award in 2019? He was the best defensive back in the nation. Guys, really. Bo Nix wasn't the most I thought John Rice Plumlee looked better. Apologies to anyone who thinks I'm an idiot. I can't evaluate quarterback talent, but I thought that John Rice Plumlee was more impressive to me, and also he ran all over my LSU Tigers, so I have a reason to think this. But anyway, that's not important. What is important is what's happening in the portal. Because you know what you're not allowed to do? It's the same thing you're not allowed to do with free agents. Not allowed to tamper with them, especially before they become free agents. What do you know? They're doing exactly that. Yeah, that's what coaches are doing. They'll call players former high school coaches. They'll talk to the players after games. Excuse me. They'll call them up all before they enter the portal. One 4-star player told an ESPN reporter that he wouldn't have entered the portal this offseason if he didn't know he'd have options. Which, no shit you would. No shit you wouldn't. Duh. I wouldn't leave if I didn't know that there were places for me to do my job. And by the way, yes, it's a job. If you're getting paid a full stipend, then you're an employee, basically. Yeah, that's why I totally agree with that whole thing. Like, I at least agree that that's a sentiment that people could have as a reasonable look at college athletics. And this gets even crazier with the new rule. So it used to be, for some stupid reason, for track and field, because I'm going to use that considering the clip we just played, there was always, you can just transfer one time, you get, like, you go to the next school, you don't have to sit out a year. For football and for a few other sports, you had to sit out an entire year before you could play unless you got a waiver from the NCAA. But now they've removed such a thing and made it so much easier. So now you really do have like this free agency. And by the way, the portal is large. I've already talked in the past about how the transfer portal was roughly 25% of all Division I scholarship basketball players were in the portal, which is insane, but it also kind of makes sense considering this year, what with the extra year of eligibility. Yeah. Of course it is. Like, you might want to go somewhere and stuff. But yeah. That only makes this weirder and worse. Without having to sit out a year, now they're going to be called left and right. Now, yeah. Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz scoffed at the idea of NCAA oversight. Yeah, what a shock. A coach at Missouri hates NCAA oversight. I kid, but you know, for real. Yeah. He said, quote, "What kind of ferociousness is behind the enforcement if you have people on tape admitting to violations and they're still actively coaching?" Yeah. Yeah, imagine that. See, I should have had a Will Wade picture up right now, but frankly, you can just picture him in your heads. Yeah. Nah, he's just, like, I mean, I laugh every time I think about it, because it's like, we're getting away with all of this. It's like, we're getting away with all... And the thing that I think with that whole thing, by the way, with the FBI, is they're just gaining more and more evidence, and they're going to drop a bombshell on us. Probably next year. Late this year, early next year. Because they've already given Arizona their notice of allegations. They got Will Wade on tape. They're going to drop that on us sooner rather than later. It's either that or they're actually roping in the football investigation with it, in which case it may take longer. If that's true, oh fuck. But anyway, it's not important. I mean, there's another guy. SMU coach Sonny Dykes brought up those wiretaps too. He said he believes the NCAA's inaction is reinforcing the old adage, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Talking about wiretaps to figure out if coaches have been calling players, because it wouldn't be that hard to figure out if they're doing it. Come on, Coffee. Send this baby sky high. Come on. Slam it home for us. Anyway, here's more quotes from Sonny Dykes. "You want people in our sport to be ethical enough where they don't fall prey to that. But you got to win, and you got a high pressure job, and you have all these things, and then all of a sudden you look up and you go, oh, they didn't punish anybody and they're not going to punish me, so why not? Again, this is the head coach at Southern Methodist University saying this, as if please tell me you understand the irony of the situation. Please tell me you understand the irony of the situation, Coach Dykes. But man, gotta feel bad that all these coaches are doing it. But then, you got the players. Oh yeah, did I mention the players are doing this shit too? Yeah. It's even worse than we thought. Oh god, I'm gonna have too much time to talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. So an anonymous Power 5 assistant had heard over the offseason that one of his best defensive players was strongly considering leaving for another school in another conference. So what he decided to do was he decided to check with some contacts he had at that other school. Because, that's what you do. Those guys said, bro, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, we haven't heard a thing about that. 1. And 2, we just signed 5 guys at that same position. We just signed 5 recruits at the same position. Even if he wanted to try and transfer over here, we'd have like 4 guys transferring out. We're not dumb. We're not doing this. Like, check their roster. That's what they told him. Check your roster. Just check our roster, and you'll see it. And then he noticed something. Quote, the fucking players he went to high school are doing it. They're recruiting each other, unquote. Now, other coaches pointed to LeBron James as the catalyst for doing this because of the fact, back when he was the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers, or at least the co-GM. And then the things he did in LA. Hi, we're going to mortgage the future for now. I get it, but thank you for mortgaging the future to us, a team who will promptly squander it and make me hate basketball forever. Hi, I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan, and I only know pain. So what, we've had generational talents. We're probably going to screw them up. Everyone's saying like, oh, Ja Morant, you should have taken Ja Morant. We'd have wasted his career too. We're doing great with the guy we got. I'm sorry, he's making Shaq look like, I don't know, this is not working. I can't think of it. Shaq looked like Pip Shaq. Okay, that wasn't funny at all. I couldn't come up with anything either. Please, if you've come up with something funnier, put it in the comments. Or say it in chat. No one's here. Who am I kidding? Yeah. So yeah, some coaches, they're saying that this is actually being done at the direction of other coaches because it's easy to do it through a player. It's so damn easy to do it through a player. Man. Yeah. Todd Barry, he's the executive director of the American Football Coaches Association, and he said coaches are in favor of major punishments for tampering. He's in favor of a 5-year banishment. I agree, but also, anyway. But then, to end off this talk about it, got Luke Fickell, and then you got Sam Pittman at Cincinnati and Arkansas, respectively. And Luke Fickell's perspective comes down to this. He said, and I'm quoting here, what we've always believed, but we sometimes lose sight of, is that you have to continually build your relationship with the kid. I've always done a great job of that with the kids that are playing, but I've done a bad job in all my days of coaching. I think of kids who might not be on the 7 or to 8 top linebackers. You got those red-shirted kids and guys on the scout team, and you said, hey, that's a part of life. I'll see you in 6 months when the season ends. And it's been a reminder to us that, for goodness sakes, we weren't doing it right 15 to 20 years ago, spending enough time to make sure we're building that relationship. And Sam Pittman added, if losing a starter bothers you more than losing someone who hasn't played much, you're being pretty selfish. I think it's easy to say that someone tampered if you lose somebody. But in all honesty, we have to look at ourselves and internally in our program to say, have we done all the things? Have we been honest and true? Have we built a relationship with us? Have we built a relationship with us where he won't want to leave us? And Pittman ended with, if you turn it around, you're going to get someone from the transfer portal too. And that's a good ending to it. But that's not the ending to the talk about it, because that was just about football. Then you got Geno Auriemma. I hope to God I said that right. UConn's legendary women's basketball coach. And he's criticized the portal for being a mess, which I totally freaking agree with. Now, he says a lot of things. Auriemma said he was told that about 1,000 athletes are in the portal and an estimated 200 had not been contacted by anybody and wouldn't be going back to their original schools. And then he says, quote, the transfer portal is great for, a kid who knows where they're going, which means that they were thinking about it a while back, who has a place ready for them and a spot ready for them. That's unquote. And he says, there's something wrong with the recruiting system. There's something wrong with the culture of college basketball today. There's something wrong with the entitlement that happens to exist. And there's something wrong with the idea of, student-athlete welfare, that everything should be done to accommodate the student-athlete, with no regard whatsoever to the coaches who work their ass off to recruit these kids in the first place. Work with them. Help them get better. Make them the player that they are. And then they up and leave with no consequences whatsoever. Now, I'm going to stop you right there, Mr. Auriemma, just so I can talk about this. I care way more about the players than I care about your coaching asses, because they're the ones who aren't getting paid yet. But I understand where you're coming from as the guy who did all the work. Like, I totally get that. Totally get it. And it's the middle of the 7th inning. This is our last at bat. We need to get 2 runs. We need to get at least 1 run to extend this game. So, I'll be updating you on that as we talk about this. Because why the hell not? I might actually... I'm not going to talk much about college baseball here just because I want to end this thing around 8 since nobody's here. So yeah, fun. Yeah. So I get your whole student-athlete welfare thing. I mean, you care a lot about the coaches, but I mean, come on. And I get if some of them are starters and they want to leave, damn, UConn just got a major transfer out of Ohio State, who was conference player of the year, either last year or the year before. And she's a star, and she's transferring for some reason. And this is, by the way, talking about when the roles are reversed. Quote, if we as coaches just call a kid in and say, look, I thought you'd be a lot better than this, so I'm taking away your scholarship, we'll get crucified. But yet a kid can just up and leave for no reason whatsoever, other than, I just don't want to be here anymore. I don't like it here anymore. Okay, so yeah, there's a time when it's absolutely positively appropriate for a kid to have to make a change. Believe me, I've been on both sides where kids have left and where kids have come in. I've been on both sides. And every time we're in this situation, I always ask the kids, what's wrong with you? That's my first question. Whenever a kid wants to transfer, I say, what's wrong with you? You're at a great place. You're starting. You're playing a lot of minutes. You seem to be, really successful. So there's got to be something wrong with you. And then when they answer me, if I like their answer, then I go forward. If I don't like their answer, then I say I'm not interested. It's just, again, a little, but I totally, again, I'm trying to see from his perspective. And, I understand the whole, you worked your ass off to get them, but also, you're also not entitled to anything. Because, look, some people just want to go where they feel like they can be a bigger star. They feel like this, they feel like that. And yeah, that's a problem. We've seen this a lot. There's a reason why the transfer portal is too big. But also, that isn't necessarily, like, I don't really know how to put this. It's really tough to put this. Yeah. But I'm going to keep going. But 1,000 kids, 1,000? It's unbelievable. And now it's, with the one-time transfer, not having to sit out. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree. I think it's great, but there's got to be something wrong with the culture if it's this bad. On both ends, on the kids and then the coaches, there's got to be something wrong. And that I agree with. There's got to be something wrong on both ends if this is happening. Because what the hell's wrong with the coaching? I mean, we talked about it last week. We talked about it last week as to what could be wrong. Oh my goodness gracious, Briggs just singled. Wait a minute. Taylor Pleasance is at the plate. Come on. Come on, Tay. Come on. Oh, baby. Guys, this is Ben doing his play-by-play. Because I don't know what's happening because I can't see it. Ah, man. 1-2 count. In fact, I'm going to just say, yada, yada, yada. That's done there. We're going to talk about this game right now. 1-2 count. Bottom of the 7th. 1 runner on. No outs. Come on, Pleasance. Smack this ball. Get us a single at least. Come on. Come on, Taylor. She grounded out, but Briggs advanced to second. That's good. So runner in scoring position, 1 out. Who's up to bat? Amanda Doyle up to bat. Alrighty, this is big. This is really big. By the way, once this is over, I'm just going to end it right here, considering nobody showed up. This is actually kind of sad. Despacito plays Country Roads. Yep. Bottom of the 7th, 0-0 count. Come on, Doyle. You just need to get a single, get this runner home. We need to get the single to get the runner home. She lined out to third. So now somebody is in. Antoine. She bats 105. Never mind. Clark is in the pinch hit. I don't know what her first name is because I forgot. But she needs to get a single. She needs to bring the runner home. A home run wins the game. A home run wins the game, but we are not going to be thinking about that. We need this now. We need a big one. Come on, Clark. Come on. 0-0 count. 0-1 the count. We only have 2 hits in this entire game. Florida State has 6. They've left 5 runners on. Oh, to the count. Oh, and to the count. She's going to strike out. Yep. So now it's winner take all next 2 games. Well, that's not true. We have to win next 2 games. Note that she hasn't technically struck out yet, but I think she did. Just waiting for it to be official. Still waiting. Still an 0-2 count. Might have fouled off a pitch. As we sit here waiting. For either the final out, which we're likely going to see, again, 0-2 the count. We're just sitting on a basically empty blank screen. Nothing's changed. Which is not a good thing. Because I'm pretty sure that means the game is over. Come on. Just waiting for it to officially say 3 outs. Or not. Now it's a 1-2 count, which is insane. What the hell took so long? Next pitch is probably going to be it. And it will put LSU on the brink of elimination. Two count. Again, they're trying to get her to chase it, so she's going to be sitting on these next 2 pitches. Probably going to swing at this one, so hopefully she gets a piece of it. And that piece is not short. At least bring the runner home. Come on. That's all you really needed for that. LSU loses 1-0. A pitcher's duel, to say the least. We gave up an inopportune run and lost the game. That's unfortunate. I was going to talk about college baseball tonight. Unfortunately, I ran out of time/caring because I'd rather be doing other things. There's really nobody here. Plus, I want to save that for tomorrow. Screw it. Let's get at least one rant in about something, because I need to at least rant about something. That something is the ACC tournament. I at least need to rant about that, and at least need to tell y'all about LSU baseball. So let's at least talk about LSU baseball real quick. They won their series against Texas A&M, lost the first game 2-1, won the second game 12-6 in 13 innings. Yeah, we scored 6 runs in the top of the 13th, and then we won the third game 8-2. We were the 9 seed. The highest we could get was the 8 seed. Didn't really matter. We were gonna play Georgia anyway. We lost to Georgia 4-1. First time since 2005, the LSU Tigers were eliminated from Hoover without having won a game. So now we're holding on for dear life on the bubble. God damn you, Bama, for winning. Bama beat Tennessee. Bama losing would have been great because, Bama's on the bubble too. Oh, did I mention that Fairfield is also in loser's bracket, which is bad because they're an at-large team? Did I mention that East Carolina is in the loser's bracket of their conference tournament, which is also bad for bubble teams? Balls! So yeah, that's happened. By the way, in the AQ spectrum, the teams that have automatically qualified for the NCAA tournament are currently Nebraska, by virtue of winning the Big Ten. There is no tournament this year. MEAC's winner is Norfolk State, by virtue of winning their tournament. Pac-12 champion Arizona won the regular season. There is no tournament. Army won the Patriot League tournament for the third year in a row just today. And then Southern won the SWAC tournament. There are some teams who are getting close, though. They don't play in their tournaments. Certain conferences actually don't have tournaments. The Big West is an example of that. UC Irvine has a 3-game lead with 4 games to go. They lead UCSB. The MAC has no tournament. Central Michigan has 2-game lead over Ball State. Ball State plays a 3-game series. Central Michigan plays 4, so they're probably going to get that auto bid. The Mountain West doesn't have a tournament. Nevada has to win 2 of their next 4 games to clinch, and they're playing the worst team in the conference, San Jose State. And then the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga, a win tonight can allow them, if Gonzaga wins, they win. They'll win the West Coast Conference. The only way they can lose the conference is to get swept because the team they're playing just so happens to be the second place team, San Diego. So yeah. Let's talk about one thing. That one thing is the ACC Tournament Format, because I hate it with a passion. They do pool play, like in the World Cup. Let me explain how it works. There are 12 ACC baseball teams. So, there's Pool A, B, C, and D. In Pool A, you have the 1 seed, the 8 seed, and the 12 seed. This year, that's Notre Dame, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. In the Pool B, you have Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Clemson because they're the 2, 7, and 11 seeds, respectively. In the C, you have 3, 6, and 10. That's NC State, UNC, and Pitt this year. And then in the D, you have 4, 5, and 9, which is Miami, FSU, and Duke. Now, in order to win your pool, you have to win 2 games. Or, if you're the top seed in your pool, you gotta win 1 game and hope that everyone else goes, hold on a minute. Yeah, 1-1. So, then you go on to semifinals, which are seeded and all. So, like, the 1 would play the 4 and the 2 would play the 3 if those were the teams that happen to win their pools. And it's really stupid. Who the hell does this? What you get are dead games. What you get are dead games where a team loses and, like, for example, Clemson lost their first game. They couldn't win the ACC tournament. They were officially eliminated with just 1 loss because they are the 11 seed, and they're not the highest seed, okay? They're the lowest seed, in fact. Yeah. Because, wait, 1-1, 1-1, 0-2. Yes. The 4 lowest seeds can't win. They have to go 2-0 in order to make it out. That's really stupid and dumb. But, of course, you don't need to be that to be stupid and dumb. You could be the Missouri Valley Conference. Let me talk about this stupid format. All right. So here's how it works. It starts out with single elimination games 1 and 2. The 5 plays the 8, and the 6 plays the 7. Okay? Whoever wins those games moves on. The top 4 seeds get a bye. I just don't get what the hell they're doing with this. Okay, so the 1 plays the winner of the 5v8 game. The 2 plays the winner of the 6 versus 7 game. Alrighty? You get this? I think. Okay. So if the 8 seed wins game 2, it will play the 1 seed on Wednesday, and the winner of game 1 would face the 2 seed. Because the 1... Oh, okay. Never mind. So the 1 plays the lower seed. Never mind. That makes more sense to me. Yeah, that explains why game 2 is paired up for some reason. Anyway, so that makes some sense. Then you get into double elimination. So the 1 plays, in this case, the 8. So 1 plays the lowest seed, 2 plays the second lowest seed, the 3 and the 4 then play each other. Yeah, that's already set up. Now it's double elimination by this point, and so you get to day 3. Now, this is where things get really stupid. Because there is a possibility that either there are 4 teams remaining after game 7, or 5 teams remain after game 7. So, what's game 7? This is hard to do if you can't see it. Crap. Screw it, let's just show the window. Okay, perfect. So look at this crap. So you've got this. How would there be 5 teams remaining? I have to actually do the things myself. Okay. So those 2 go in. Boy, this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. Okay. So Bing Bing plays number 3. Brad the fuck. Oh, I get it now. It's just stupid. I actually don't understand this format anymore. This is even worse than I thought. The loser of the 3 versus 4 game plays the 1 seed. I'm sorry, plays the winner of the 1 versus lowest seed game. That's how this can happen. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is by far the dumbest format I've ever seen. Okay. So, as you can see, the loser of these 2 games would then play each other, because it would mean that there are 2 teams that have only 1 loss. This is the dumbest format I've ever seen. Okay, so, and this is, by the way, all your fault. This is all your fault. Here's how you simplify things. You play the 1, you have the 1 play the 8, the 2 play the 7, and the 3 play the 6, and the 4 play the 5. You know, like every normal tournament would do if they had 8 teams in it. Really? You really let this happen? Why would you do this? Whose idea was this? Do it simply. It's not that hard. You know what other conferences do? They do a regional, basically, which is a 4-team double elimination tournament in the style of every regional ever. Not that hard to do that. Okay, you want to do 8? Do it normally. You don't... I get you want to do double elimination, but really? You have 2 brackets just in case there are 4 teams or 5? Are you mental? Why would you let this happen? Whose idea was this? I mean, it's not like the SEC tournament's any stupider. It goes from single elimination to double elimination, and then back to single elimination. I give up. Single elimination on the first day of games. 5 plays the 12, 6 plays the 11, 8 plays the 9. Wait. Excuse me 1 second. I need to punch myself. Yeah, 5 plays the 12, 6 plays the 11, 7 plays the 10, 8 plays the 9. Loser of those games are eliminated. Then you go into a double elimination thingy that looks really stupid and weird. And eventually you get to the semifinals. In the semifinals, your records are thrown out. Losing, you go home. Winning, you're in. Championship game is a single elimination championship game. Bada bing, bada boom. It is so annoying. God, I love the stupidity of it, though. I just love how stupid it is. But that's going to do it for this episode of Sad to Go Live. Because this is kind of sad. So yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, you can find me at capital BEN, capital S, capital L, capital A, capital S, PORTS. You can find me, let me think, where else can you find me? You can find Goal to Go, the normally recorded podcast, on Anchor, or wherever else you get your podcast. It's linked in the description. And yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Sorry this was so short, but nobody else was here. So, until next time, I've been Ben Schluter. This has been Goal to Go. Hopefully there will be more of you here. Bye-bye.